recently, New York City Comic Con did happen. That was actually last week, October 9th to October 12th. And boy, oh boy, did we get a good amount of reveals, news, and trailers for the future of Marvel, Sony, whether it's animation or live action. And honestly, I kind of wish that I waited a little bit longer to do my X-Men 97 Season 2 video, basically breaking down everything we know so far, because again, boy oh boy, now we know so much more because we got a trailer reveal for the second season. But not only that, Daredevil Born Again, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and so much more. And that's why today, in this video, we are going to be doing an MCU news roundup. But before we get into anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Alright, Marvel News Roundup from New York City Comic Con. So first I'll talk about Daredevil Born Again. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to timestamp each of these subjects. However, if I can't do that, I apologize. That being said, Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Obviously, we left off with the cliffhanger from Season 1. Matt Murdock did get shot. We did know that Jessica Jones was going to be returning, and there she was, revealed in the trailer. The trailer reactions, if any of you guys have seen them online, they went absolutely nuts, and I think this is honestly a really good thing because it shows the creators and the people behind the projects that people really do want to see the Defenders, or at least some members of the Defenders, back on screen again and to be included in the larger Marvel universe. Now, we do know she is going to be a decent plot point for the second season. Some of the other things that we got in the trailer obviously wasn't major. It was more so a teaser. However, we did get more of Karen Page. She's going to be in it more. And then we got a reveal. Again, I don't know if this was necessarily at Comic-Con or just a report that the actor then did confirm. Foggy Nelson is going to be in Season 2. Now again, I don't know if that is going to be in some sort of flashback or montage sequence. However, there is a storyline in the comics in which Foggy Nelson fakes his death. And if that's the route they're going with this, that's going to be absolutely insane. I absolutely love Foggy. In my predictions video for Daredevil Born Again, my main prediction was Foggy dying. However, it was with great reluctance that I made that prediction because he's one of my favorite characters in the series. I absolutely love him, and he's an amazing actor. He does a great job. So if he does come back, or he did actually fake his death, I would be really interested to see how they explain that, because unlike a lot of other characters, it's very difficult to fool Matt Murdock because he can literally hear as your heart stops. So he knows exactly when someone does actually die. It's similar to Spider-Man with his spider sense, where he has that sixth sense where he knows that the end is near for someone. Speaking of Spider-Man, that brings us to Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we did officially get the confirmation that Tombstone will be appearing in this movie. It wasn't going to be played by the previous actor that I had mentioned. They actually listed it as him voicing Tombstone. So this is pretty interesting because that usually means it's either going to be some type of motion capture mixed with CGI type of situation versus using practical effects. And on this, I'm kind of torn. Obviously, in Spider-Man movies past, when they've had characters like this, they do usually do a really good job at making the villain look really good. However, I think with Tombstone, it would have been possible to make a practical Tombstone character, and I think that could have left room for the CGI to be used on other things. Again, that's only my opinion. It could end up looking really great, and it could end up being just very minor things where it's a touch-up situation, and it could still have this actor actually playing Tombstone, and they might just augment how he looks in little various ways. That being said, I somewhat joined Daredevil Born Again Season 2 with Spider-Man Brand New Day for a reason, and that's because it was confirmed that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is going to directly tie into Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that's really interesting because obviously we know the characters that are set to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day, one of them being the Punisher, and the Punisher does have a special coming out next year before Brand New Day, and it has been confirmed that that series will also directly lead into Spider-Man Brand New Day. So again, for anyone who is worried about this film not being street level, I think a lot of those concerns can at least be put to the side or to the back burner, at least for now. Because as it stands now, we are getting Punisher in this movie. Obviously, Spider-Man's in the movie. He's the title character. And although we do have the Hulk, he could really fit into this really nicely in a way that he gets manipulated by the villain or one of the villains in the film. And what I really think is going to happen at the end of Born Again Season 2, Wilson Fisk is still going to be in charge of New York City. And he is going to, similarly to how he does in the comics, pass a bill to make it virtually illegal for any type of vigilante activity and even some type of superhero level activity. And now, obviously, with all those characters I mentioned, aside from the Hulk, that will drastically impact them. I say aside from the Hulk because a lot of times the Hulk isn't going around stopping bank robbers or anything like that. Although it would be hilarious if we did see a scene like that, seeing him smash a robber, that's not going to happen. So that being said, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 setting up the Kingpin wanting to outlaw even further vigilantes and having his sights set on Spider-Man, Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, all these different characters, really makes me think that in some type of way, obviously he's going to hire supervillains, one of which, in my opinion, is going to be Scorpion. But even beyond that, I think Scorpion is going to inevitably fail. Obviously, the good guy is going to win. But in that happening, I think that's where the Hulk comes into this situation. And I think either Wilson Fisk, Tombstone, or someone else vying for power is going to find out a way to use different gamma radiation or different research to affect Bruce Banner and make him turn into that Savage Hulk. And then you're going to have characters like the Punisher, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and maybe even Luke Cage having to go toe-to-toe with the Hulk. And maybe some of these characters even getting killed off. And I know I mentioned Luke Cage. He hasn't officially been confirmed for Daredevil Born Again Season 2. However, the actor who plays him has been spotted in New York City at the same exact time they're filming Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So could it be possible? Yes, absolutely. That would be awesome. Would I want the actor to return who played Iron Fist? I know a lot of people are saying no. However, me personally, I enjoyed Iron Fist, at least some of it, Season 1. Season 2 for me absolutely fell off. However, I still would enjoy the character of Iron Fist appearing in that. Again, I enjoyed parts of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon that had Iron Fist, and I liked the dynamic between Spider-Man and Iron Fist. And I liked how they had that different type of fighting styles, and even in some comics, Iron Fist helps to train Spider-Man to be better at martial arts, to not just rely on his spider sense at all times. So if we could get some type of dynamic, and again, I know it's starting to get overblown with characters, but it's really not, because most of these characters are street level, and that's what the fans have been wanting. If we get a Spider-Man film with the Defenders in it, that would be absolutely perfect. And again, this isn't saying I don't love any of those characters or really enjoy any of those characters, but a lot of them can be killed off in that movie and add so many stakes to that movie and show maybe how the Hulk has become this big behemoth and big monster once again. Maybe setting up a Planet Hulk thing in the future. That's all just speculation though. Again, let me know in the comments down below what all of you think. Which of these characters do you really hope do show up in Brand New Day? And what do you think they mean by Daredevil Born Again Season 2 sets up Spider-Man Brand New Day? Let me know in the comments down below. But that is not it. As I mentioned at the start of this video, we also got a trailer, or at least a teaser trailer, for X-Men 97. Again, I wish that I waited 2 weeks to post my predictions video and everything we know about Season 2, but here we are. And when I saw it, I knew I couldn't not talk about it, because there were some pretty epic things revealed. And not only that, I'm just going to start with the craziest thing. We're not just getting a Season 2. The creators confirmed we are getting a Season 3. They're already working on the voice acting for the 3rd season. And the story is almost completely done for Season 3. Now, the only alarming thing is the creator and the showrunner for X-Men 97, he did get fired after Season 1. Season 2 is still mostly his vision and mostly his plan. Season 3 is the showrunner from What If. Now again, say what you will about What If, there were good parts, there were some not so good parts. Were any of the best episodes of What If anywhere close to how amazing X-Men 97 Season 1 was? In my opinion, no. X-Men 97 is some of the absolute best content we've ever gotten from Marvel. It is absolutely immaculate. That being said, some of the other details we do know about X-Men 97 to get more on a positive note. Obviously, we're getting Apocalypse that is confirmed. One of the four horsemen is going to be Gambit. However, some of the other things that they did reveal through trailers and just the creators and showrunners talking about the series and what's to come is there is going to be friction and a lot of fractures occurring within the X-Men. And they are going to start to deviate, and another team is going to form. Characters that lose belief in Charles Xavier. Now, in my opinion, this is going to happen after Gambit does return as one of the four horsemen. And one of the people that I really do think is going to be fractured away from the X-Men is going to be Rogue. She's actually one of the characters that I think is going to inevitably die. I think it'll be in some type of way to help bring Gambit back. But again, that's only going off of one of the voice actors who voices Charles Xavier saying, hey, get ready for character deaths, because a lot are coming in this season, which is crazy. That being said, some of the other characters we do know that are going to appear. Polaris, I believe she's going to be part of the other team. X Factor. One of the other characters that got confirmed, and we saw very, very briefly in the trailer, is Danger. Now, for those of you who don't know, again, don't worry, I am here. I will fill you in. This is when the Danger Room, the computer AI in the X-Men's Danger Room, gains consciousness. It becomes sentient. And she inevitably orchestrates a way to get herself a body to go against the X-Men. And this is interesting because the Danger Room is literally where the X-Men train to use their powers. So she is a character a lot of times in the comics who is a great counter to every single character in the X-Men because she's trained against them every single day, whether they're at the tippy top shape of what they're ever at or at their weakest. She knows them inside and out. She knows their strengths, but even more importantly, she knows their weaknesses. So that's really interesting that she's going to appear. I don't know how she's going to fit into this particular season. Again, we have a lot going on. If I had to guess, she will be something more so that happens later in the series rather than earlier on. Because again, we know that the X-Men are all scattered throughout time. We have 3 separate X-Men teams that will already be forming, and the teams will be fracturing even more so than that. Because as I said, as the teams start to find each other, probably all in the present, they will fracture once again and break off from Charles Xavier. One of the other characters that I think is almost positively confirmed will be Sunspot. Again, these are the 2 characters that did side with Magneto and chose to leave the X-Men already. So Rogue and Sunspot being 2 of the characters that end up leaving totally makes sense. But one of the other characters I think might be Wolverine. However, it's not going to be a choice of his. I think one of the ways he's going to be brought back and given his adamantium back will be as one of the 4 horsemen by Apocalypse. This has happened in some of the comics, and in some of the comics, obviously, Mystique is one of those horsemen. However, Morph could definitely fill in for that spot and be one of those 4 horsemen. And that would be really crazy. Speaking of Morph and Wolverine, at one point we do see them on a ship with Sabretooth and Lady Deathstrike. So at some point they're all teaming up together. Now, this could be the other way that Wolverine does get healed and gets his adamantium put back in him. They could find the original people that were involved in the Weapon X program, which obviously would be Sabretooth and Lady Deathstrike. A lot of times, Lady Deathstrike ends up taking up the head of that team after Stryker dies. So this would be really interesting. Obviously, we know Sabretooth and Wolverine are mortal enemies. They hate each other, want to kill each other. But now if this presents us with a scenario where they have to work together, that would be really, really interesting. And another character we do know is going to appear in this that is associated with that organization is Omega Red. And seeing Omega Red, I'm really excited to see him in this series, especially with this animation. I think it'll be really, really awesome. He obviously appeared in the original series. However, That was in the 90s. Animation back then was way, way different than it is now. And seeing his combat style, and again, he has a direct counter to mutants who can heal and to adamantium. That's one of the reasons he was created in the comics. So all in all, I'm really, really excited for all of these projects. If I had to put my excitement in order, obviously Spider-Man is always going to be at the top. He's my favorite Marvel character by far. However, X-Men 97 is so amazing. I am so excited for it. The only thing that I really, 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 really hope happens that I don't see happening is more inclusion of Spider-Man. Spider-Man the Animated Series is the greatest Spider-Man show we have ever gotten. And those little cameos of him as Spider-Man and him as Peter Parker in season 1 were spectacular, and they literally broke the internet. And I think he had collectively less than 2 minutes of screen time in the whole show. Give him an episode, and I promise you, it will break the internet even more so than the other one. Again, that's just my 2 cents, but let me know what all of you think. Who do you hope appears in X-Men 97? Which of these projects are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.